When I was 19, I worked a summer job for the Forest Service in Colorado. It wasn't glamorous. I was mostly assigned to upkeep trails, clear debris, and occasionally restock the old ranger outposts that dotted the more remote regions of the park. One of those was known as Signal Cabin. It sat on a bluff overlooking a deep valley. No road access, only reachable by a 4-hour hike or ATV. They called it Signal because, in theory, you could still get radio reception out there thanks to an old repeater tower nearby. But in practice, it was hit or miss. Mostly miss. What I didn't know at the time was that Signal Cabin had a reputation. Not officially, but ask anyone who'd worked there a while, and they'd tell you something about that place was wrong. The first weird thing happened when I was sent out to drop off supplies and spend the night. My supervisor said it was a rite of passage. We all take a solo up there our first year. Don't worry, it's quiet. He handed me a first aid kit, a walkie, and a rifle. I asked, why the rifle? He said, coyotes. But he didn't look me in the eye when he said it. The hike up was uneventful. Warm air, chirping insects, a few deer. The kind of wilderness that feels alive in a way cities can't match. When I got to the cabin, it was smaller than I expected. One room, bunk, stove, a desk, and a big crusty radio with a cracked headset. There was a logbook on the desk, entries going back decades. People wrote about trail conditions, weather, equipment malfunctions. But scattered through the pages were other entries, stranger ones. Heard knocking on the back wall last night. Nothing there. Radio picked up a woman's voice, sounded like it said, please. Then static. Don't stay past the second night. Just don't. I figured they were just messing with new recruits. That night, around 1 a.m., I woke up needing to pee. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out onto the porch. The forest was silent, not like normal silence. Dead, no wind, no bugs, no night birds. And then I heard it, the radio inside the cabin turned on by itself. I hadn't touched it. The volume was low, but I could hear it crackling. Then a voice, a whisper. Hello? It was female, quiet, not panicked, just searching, like someone lost in the dark. I stood frozen for a long time, flashlight still on, aimed at the tree line. Nothing moved. Eventually, I went back in and shut the radio off. Didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I logged the supply drop, double-checked the equipment, and got the hell out of there. I didn't tell my supervisor about the voice. I didn't want to sound paranoid, but I did flip through the logbook again before I left. Near the back was a page torn almost in half. The last line still visible read, "She's not calling for help. She's calling someone in." I didn't go back. Not that year. But here's where it gets worse. 3 years later, after I'd left the Forest Service, I saw an article online. Hiker found dead near remote ranger cabin. I clicked. It was Signal. A solo backpacker had gone off trail and wound up near the cabin. According to the article, she made a series of radio calls over a 3-day period. The final transmission was transcribed. She said, and I quote, "I can see the cabin. There's a woman inside waving at me, but the door won't open. She was found 200 yards away, curled up like she froze to death in 60-degree weather. The official cause? Exposure, likely disoriented. But I know what she saw, because there's no woman stationed at Signal Cabin. There never was. And the cabin doesn't have a window.